No.
Good morning. We want to welcome you this morning for the Drainage District Board of Directors meeting for today, January the 21st, 2014. President are Commissioner Cuellar, Precinct 1, Palacios, Precinct 2, Palacios, Precinct 4, and myself. We have a quorum. Anybody sign up for open forum?
No, sir.
Our consent agenda, any concerns?
No, sir.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 4.
Item 4, requesting approval to become member of the TIPS Purchasing Cooperative and approval to execute interlocal agreement, no membership fees associated with this request. Basically, it's just trying to get another pool of vendors that we could utilize under the purchasing corporate agreements. I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir. There are several cooperative agreements, Commissioner. I think there's probably 3 or 4, similar to what the county has. Each cooperative agreement has certain type of vendors associated with it. This is just another pool that we're looking into to utilize. We're not purchasing anything from it this time. It's just having a vendor you can go after if you need to purchase materials or equipment out of it.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under the 2013 bond series, request approval to accept bids and award construction contract to the lowest bidder meeting all specified requirements for RFB number HCDD1 14-001-0108, Precinct 2 Rural Drainage Development, Northside Village, Hidden Valley Subdivision Area Drainage Improvements, Roja Construction and Paving, LLC, in the amount of $693,763.81. We had a total of 9 bidders, and this was the lowest bid that came in. We have a letter of recommendation from the engineer on it.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C, requesting approval of final negotiated agreement for professional engineering services with Dahl Logistic, Inc. as it relates to Precinct 4 Rural Drainage Development Projects, Hohen Road, Bandera Area Drainage Improvements, approved for negotiations by HCDD number 1, Board of Directors, May 28, 2013. Everything is in order. It's fees that were negotiated when we had our meetings with the
Move for
judges and
approval.
commissioners.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item number 5, discussion and action approving contract with Integ, Inc. to perform the services of general manager of the district under Texas Water Code 49.056 for a period of 1 year. Commissioners, I bring before you a contract for y'all's consideration for Integ to provide services for another year. I am looking at leaving the district after this coming year to give y'all the ability to provide a transition. I've been working for the district probably for about 38, 39 years. I started back in 1979, excuse me. And I've been employed by the district as a sole client since 95 to today. I've enjoyed my tenure with the district, and I would like to offer y'all the opportunity to work with y'all for about another year to provide the proper transition and start bringing in a replacement with y'all's consideration.
Judge, have you reviewed the contract?
No, I have not. I haven't seen it.
The contract was drafted by Atlas and Hall.
Do
It
you
is
have
there
a copy
basically-
of it?
There's a copy in the packet, I believe.
Basically, it's a 1-year contract to provide services and
Do
management.
you have
for-
one with you?
I don't have one with me. No.
I do,
Do you
Judge.
have one with you, Doctor?
Yes, sir, I do.
Rick?
Thank you. Doctor, I thought the intention was to be in a transition for up to 1 year, I think.
For up to 1 year, once the board hires somebody, if the transition is done in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, there's a 30-day clause for the termination of the agreement. So it's not a fixed 1 year. It gives you all the 1 year to hire somebody, to bring them on board, to transition them into the district, and at that point, I will leave.
Are all of the terms of this new contract, because I don't know if I have time to read it, it's
Yes, sir.
about 12, 15 pages. Are they the same as the one that we entered into last
It
year?
is changed somewhat, Judge, in the respect that it's more of a transitional period in there. The item that has changed on there, that has been an increase of about $4,000 a month on the services, which brings it back down to a base salary, if I was working for the district, of about $120,000, $125,000 a year. I'm making about $120,000 right now. Basically, the contract is structured for about $180,000, which is basically a $15,000 per month. But the services are the same services that I'm providing at this time
Is
for
it-
the transition.
Is it the same amount of money, or are you getting this, are you going to be getting the same amount of money?
No, sir, it is about $4,000 more a month that I will
It's
be
more a
getting.
month, but there's no percentage there, right?
No, sir, there is no percentage, there's nothing in there, it's basically a straight salary. I provide my vehicle, I provide my
Insurance.
gas, I provide my insurance. Basically, it's a straight salary.
It's just a contract salary.
Yes, sir.
That's what it is.
Godfrey, what does it do to
the past agreements that we've had. I know we've had ongoing projects, and back in the past, it was a percentage on the contract for certain projects that we
Yes, sir.
approved in prior bond elections. Is there any pending?
There is about, I'd say about $80,000 still pending that we'll be looking at it closing out, but that is tied into the project of the Raymondville Drain, none of the new bond projects that are out there. Am I collecting any percentage or any management fee on it? Basically, all of the new bond projects are being administered by the different consultants that are out there.
Okay.
Do we, well, under the present contract, were you earning any commission?
Under the pending contract, the only commission that was still tied into, Judge, was tied into the Raymondville Drain, but none of the new bond issues or any new monies executed out of it.
So during 2013, did you do anything where the district would now owe you money in addition to what you've already been paid?
The only thing is the movement of the Raymondville Drain contract, but no other bond issues that were associated. So whatever work I did in 2013 with the bond issue, I have no percentage coming in on that.
That'd be part of the 2013 bond issue or the 2012 bond issue? Or
The previous bond issue, Judge.
when you say previous, are we talking 2006 or 2012?
The 2006, I believe, Judge. But it has nothing to do with this last bond referendum that we passed.
And that, I guess that was my question as well. So none of the proceeds that we got from the recent bond election, there was no percentage on any of that?
No, sir.
The percentage was linked to the original bond issuance
That is,
of
that
06?
is, that is correct, sir.
And in this new agreement, there is no percentage, and it's up to a year?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Trying to understand, what amount of money does the district owe you or paid you as for commissions as opposed to your normal monthly amount?
Basically, the district, the original contract had a percentage based on the management of the projects that were in the 2006 bond issue, which was the management of the projects. In the last bond issue that we sold in 2012, I believe, or 2012? No, 2013, the court agreed when they extended the contract in there that there would be no percentage on the new bond issue. So basically, under the new bond issue and the management and developing the projects, I have not been receiving any type of commission or percentage on it.
How much did we pay or do we owe for 2013?
I think it's about $80,000, Judge. And I've got our accounting department going through and closing out everything that's there.
How much?
About $80,000.
80?
80,
80,
80, yes.
This is in addition to the normal monthly salary.
180,000.
Yes,
a
sir.
year. Yeah. And that's a flat fee.
It's on a per month as long as I'm employed by the district.
So what was the flat fee in 2013?
About $123,000, $124,000, Judge.
So is this looked upon as I guess a raise up from 120 to 180?
Basically, it's a new contract that I'm looking at for y'all to consider, and it is an increase of about $4,000 a month for the duration that I'm employed.
4,000 a month to me is 48,000
Yes, sir.
a year.
So the
And
one-
120 and 48 is only
168, or maybe it's $4,500, Judge.
So it's a total of 180. There's
Yes,
no
sir.
insurance. You pay your insurance. You pay.
I pay my insurance, my retirement, my medical, my gas, my vehicle.
Oh, good to me. Move for approval.
why don't we have, seconded, Commissioner?
But you had another recommendation.
Well, I wanted to look at it. I wanted to compare it to the one that we presently have in place. I've always had this concern about the additional compensation. I just don't think it appropriate for a county employee, which I know you're not, you're a
correct.
consultant, but you're looked upon and deemed to be, for all practical purposes, a county employee. I wanted to make sure that I looked at and compared the two contracts at this point. I know I saw it on the agenda, and I didn't have it as part of my packet. And I'd like an opportunity to compare and bring it up next week. I mean, you've got until February, someday in February.
Yes, sir, I got till February 16th, Judge.
That's fine if you want to bring it back, Judge. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to go look at it, I'll rescind my.
Okay, and, all
That's
right.
fine.
So why don't we just take it up next week and
That's
give
fine,
us an
Judge.
opportunity to look at it and compare it?
No problem.
All right. All right, we have an item to take up in executive session.
Yes, sir, we do.
All right, pursuant to 551-071 and 072, I would request a motion to proceed to executive session.
So moved.
Approve.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Better. 90%.
All right, we're back in open session on our Drainage District meeting. Item 7.
Judge, Commissioners, I would like for the board to consider on a land acquisition of parcel number 4 with LSH Partners LTD in the appraised value amount of $31,688.88. This is for the Fayetteville project. We've got an offer that the individuals agreed to based on the appraised value that we have.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Judge, Commissioners.
Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Good morning. We want to welcome you this morning to the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court meeting for today, January the 21st, 2014. Present, the entire court being present. Commissioner Palacios, Precinct 2, just stepped out for a while. We have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Townsend?
Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for this beautiful day. We even thank you for when we have foggy mornings, because that's moisture. And we're just thankful for everything that you send us. We have problems, dear Lord. We ask you to give us vision for all kinds of intelligence, patience, that we can solve our problems together, that we won't take off and have too bad of sometimes we get on the wrong track and we blame people for what they don't need to be blamed for. And we ask you to forgive us for that. We also ask for the repose of the soul of our friend Oscar Garza. May he rest in peace. And we ask all of this in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
I would ask you to remain standing, please, and in a moment of silence in honor of the memory of our former Hidalgo County Commissioner, Oscar Garza, who passed away on Saturday, January the 18th, 2014. Commissioner Garza will be remembered for his great sense of humor, his can-do attitude, and his generous spirit. Oscar began his public service career as a bailiff in County Court at Law Number 3. He then served 2 terms as Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4, Place 2, and then later was elected County Commissioner, Precinct 4, where he served for 3 terms. He left Hidalgo County a better place because of his service. He is survived by his wife of 36 years, Imelda, 1 daughter, Brenda Gale, and son-in-law, Jaime Salazar, and 1 son, Oscar Little O. Garza III. He is also survived by his mother, Yolanda Guerra Garza, and numerous relatives in and around Hidalgo County. Thank you. Any concerns with the consent agenda, Mr.
I
President?
don't have any, Judge, unless somebody else has any,
No.
recommend approval. Do not have any.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. Item 5A. Hilda?
Good morning. Hilda Salinas from Hidalgo County Public Affairs. Today we are recognizing Texas AgriLife Service Agent Adelita Figueroa Munoz, who received a Superior Service Award in a Distinguished Career category from the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. At this time, I would like Ms. Figueroa Munoz and her family to come up to the podium. And her husband, Jesse Munoz, son, George Munoz, daughter, Becky Munoz, as well as Dr. Ruben Saldana, District 12 Extension Coordinator, Barbara Stores, County Coordinator, Christina Perez, also from Texas AgriLife, and Master Clothing Volunteers. Great. May I read?
Good morning.
The award presented, her award was presented on January 8th during the agency's Centennial Conference in College Station. According to the award citation, Figueroa Munoz was recognized for an exemplary career of almost 43 years, beginning in 1971, when she was hired as AgriLife Extension Agent for the Expanded Nutrition Program, now known as the Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program, and Youth for Hidalgo County. Ms. Figueroa Munoz developed strong working relationships with community leaders, broadcasters, medical doctors, county officials, state and U.S. congressmen, and many other influential individuals who helped the people in the grinding poverty in South Texas through various AgriLife extension programs. Superior Service Awards are presented to personnel who demonstrate outstanding performance or provide exceptional service to AgriLife Extension and educational outreach agencies of Texas A&M University System. At this time, I would like to present Ms. Adelita Figueroa Munoz with a certificate of recognition from Hidalgo County. Thank you. If you would like to.
Let's go ahead. Congratulations.
Thank you. Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. What an honor. And I want to tell you that these past 42 and a half years have been such an honor and a privilege to empower families with tools, knowledge, and skills to make them stronger families, to make their children responsible individuals. I thank you for your support, and I thank all of my co-workers, ladies from the BLT program, Barbara, Brad, Christina, and Andrea is not here, but I know I have started working with her already. And I especially want to thank our staff from the Better Living for Texas, Francis Flores and Yolanda Rios. And in a very special way, I want to thank my husband that puts up with me every day that I call him and tell him that I have another meeting at night. Honey, thank you so much. And my son George that is visiting us from Corpus. Thank you very much. And I thank the citizens of Hidalgo County for always coming to our classes. Thank you very much. And what an honor it is to work for the County of Hidalgo.
Well, thank you for your 42 and a half years of exemplary service. You know, we're very pleased that the Texas A&M Agri-Life Extension Service saw fit to award this Superior Service Award for this distinguished career here in our South Texas community. Thank you for your many years of service. Next item, 5A. Hilda?
Hello again. Good morning. At this time, I would like to present to you Albert Morales, Project Coordinator from the Advocacy Alliance Center. He will be doing a presentation at this time.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
My name is Albert Morales. I'm the project coordinator for the Advocacy Alliance Center of Texas. And I'm here just to give you a quick update on our organization. First of all, we'd like to thank you for being very supportive of our efforts. And I have several announcements that I wanted to make. Within the past 2 years that we have been in existence, we have managed to acquire over 83 partners. We've also been able to register over 19,500 people to vote. I'm very proud to announce also that as Hidalgo County, we have been increasing our voter registration numbers and also our voter turnout. So just want to let you know that we're continuing our efforts until we reach our 65% goal. And we're here today to let you know that we will continue to promote the election. We have several posters and push cards that we use to inform people about these elections and where they can go vote and things like that. We're also here today to present Ms. Ramon with a plaque. On behalf of our organization, we'd like to present this in recognition and appreciation of Ms. Yvonne Ramon, Elections Administrator, County of Hidalgo, for her dedication and commitment and vision to spread the message of the importance of voter turnout in our community.
Thank you, Albert.
Thank you.
I would like to take just a moment to say thank you to the court and also to the Advocacy Alliance Center of Texas, which has been such a positive force in the County of Hidalgo. Right now, we are at over 307,000 registered voters, and after a general election, our numbers always go down to under 300,000, sometimes as low as 280,000. And I know that it is through the effort of entities such as ACT that promote, and they're not only there for step one, but they're there there throughout the entire process, which we really appreciate as a county, and throughout the entire Rio Grande Valley, because it's not just Hidalgo that they support, but all of the lower Rio Grande Valley. So thank you, ACT, for this. I appreciate your recognition of me, but it's really through them that we have been able to continue to work hard, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5C.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Jaime Longoria with the Office of County Judge Ramon Garcia. With me today, we have Rick Guerrero from the Juvenile Probation Office. 5C is approval to apply for the Juvenile Accountability Block Grant for 2014 from the Governor's Criminal Justice Division.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
C2, authorization for County Judge Garcia to sign electronically certify the application as authorized official.
Approval.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
C3, Mr. Guerrero will do the presentation.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. The approval of resolution to apply for the Juvenile Accountability Block Grant.
Approval.
Again.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioner, does he need to read the resolution? No? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
No,
much.
we all support it. Let's wish you well. Hope you can get it.
Thank you very much, Judge.
Item 6, Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. There's no action under item 6A, 1 and 2 unless there's action to be taken further down the agenda. Item 6B, I'm going to ask Mr. Alex Palacios to come to the podium and give the court an update on the administration, the renovations to our former administration buildings, first and second floor.
County Judge, County Commissioners, good morning. Happy New Year, first and foremost.
Morning, sir.
To begin with, my name is Alex Palacios with Prodigy Construction Management, and we are here on behalf presenting the Hidalgo County Courthouse Administration first and second floor. In order for us to clearly understand the scope or the events of the changes that have taken place, I prepared a brief summary of what's taken place. Item number 1, I've detailed them in 1 through 5. The architect has defined change number 1, the first floor, the vault area. Those floor plans and specs have been completed and signed off. They've given the check, the green check designates that they've been handed over to the general contractor. Item number 2, which is the first floor, the north wall, also has been completed. The third item, change number 3, the second floor, the southeast corner in the district attorney's area has also been addressed. The second floor, the northwest corner of the district attorney's area also has been addressed. And if you may recall, the changes or the adjustments that we made over the Thanksgiving holiday for the HVAC chill water valves, that too has been completed. From that summary, the general contractor, D. Wilson, has prepared a proposal that he submitted in the amount of $71,055. We are currently reviewing that for any credits, changes, or any errors and omissions on the behalf of the design. We are looking into that as we speak. The following items, the proposed forthcoming change orders are: 1 is the first floor changes to the new commissioner's courtroom in lieu of the judicial court. The county staff, several departments, so I just summarized it with county, and our office have reviewed and discussed all the specifics with the MEP engineer and the required information for the design team. It is currently in the architect's hands, and he is putting it together for final submission. The second item is the emergency management offices that we also had to entertain some adjustments there. We also met as well, and we discussed those, and we are waiting for the architect to put them together for contractor submittal. The contractor does propose to submit a proposal, and that is pending. Next slide.
I was
Attaching,
under the impression that the architect had already or was in the process of submitting the plans about 2 weeks ago.
that was correct, Judge. The architect did present to you that he would have submit the entire, can we back up just a second? And this is why I propose this summary, because as we're talking, we're defining is, are we turning everything in? So I put a summary of the events of what you have before you, of what exactly, who's providing what and what are they. So what I did is I broke it down specifically of what he defines, what he's turning in as to what the commission is requesting. So basically, as per the lower part of that page that you're looking at, items 1 and 2 are already, should be in production for him to complete and turn over to the county. So I believe what he turned in was items 1, 2, 3, and 4 as per that last meeting.
Judge, I was going to suggest that, given the issues we had with the architect, to allow Prodigy to sign off on the architect's invoices. It makes sense. He is the representative of the county, and he's also involved in the construction management of the project. Because right now, the invoices, I think I signed off by another department. I'm not sure if they're aware of whether or not the architect has delivered all of the items that are included in the invoice.
It would cut down on the process of paperwork.
Well, I would think that,
He's more hands-on.
yeah, the county will be sure that the architect had delivered whatever the deliverables are. And Prodigy is, I think they're on site. They would know whether or not the architect has done that.
That proposal does make some sense. You're involved in overseeing the entire project.
Yes, sir.
Judge, I would still recommend that even though Prodigy signs off, that those invoices still be signed off by the county also.
Yeah, 2 signatures would be all right.
Right, yeah, but he'll sign them off as sharing that the deliverables have been received.
Alex, we're talking about all the changes. What is the bottom line? When is the project expected to be completed?
I will fast forward my presentation, Commissioner, just, okay, next. There. The project, we provided a project timeline, or Mr. D. Wilson has, and based on the information that I was presenting, his best estimate and ours would be November 20th, 2014, if we do not have any more delays in getting the documents to Mr. D. Wilson. So in essence, this summary here is basically going to be our guide and my presentation to you of the items that need to be forthcoming for execution, so we can get out of the design mode and into full construction mode.
All right.
A sample I have provided you there, the question was asked, well, what is the intensity of the energy, the management and the commissioner's chambers? What's the hoopla? Basically, what you see before you is nothing but minor red marks that have already been discussed with the county staff and handed over to the design team. Minor red marks, nothing out of the ordinary. So that has been completed and into the hands of the design team. The next item, you'll see a contractor submittal log. The contractor's moving aggressively. 41 submittals have been turned into the design team for review and approval. The architects have addressed 11, and 30 are pending and ongoing. So it is a collaborative effort. So we're moving aggressive on the submittal format to hit the ground running. And again, in conclusion, is the timeline of November 20th, 2014, Commissioner Palacios.
All right.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Palacios.
Thank you.
Judge, Commissioners, there are no emergency situations occurring since the last agenda, so I'll move on to item C. We have Mr. Crocker in the audience. This is an update on 2013 services provided by Tropical Texas MHMR. Mr. Crocker?
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this morning. And first, I want to start by saying thank you for your ongoing support of our mission and what we do at Tropical. 2013 has been a big year for us. It's been a busy year as well. I know that most of you all have heard a lot of this information, so I'm going to go through it very quickly. Please feel free to stop me if you have any questions or comments. I also note that our Chief Operating Officer and Associate CEO, Holly Burrell, is here with me as well. As you all know, Tropical is your local community MHMR center. We started in 1967. We're about the 5th largest out of 38 other community centers in the state right now, and we serve Cameron, Hidalgo, and Willacy counties. And we have a 9-person board of trustees, of which this body appoints 5 of those board members. Our leadership team includes me, Ms. Burrell, our Chief Operating Officer, B. Trejo, Connie Aguirre, our Chief Administrative Officer, and our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Danielle Gutierrez. We have 4 primary service locations across the Rio Grande Valley. Our main location is here in Edinburg. We have sites in Brownsville, Weslaco, and Harlingen. The picture you see before you in Harlingen is our old building, because on the 7th of this month, we opened a new building in Harlingen just off the 499 loop. We're very, very pleased with that building. We finally have enough space in the Harlingen area to do what we need to do. I encourage you to look at that building. We'll be having a grand opening next month, which all of this body will be invited to see. Currently, we have about 552 filled positions at the agency, with another 100 or so pending with the 1115 waiver projects we're getting off the ground. Those are split mainly here in Edinburg, again being our biggest site, with over 275 people employed here in our Edinburg location. Our operating budget, the expense budget for 2014, just to give you a size of our budget, is approaching $58 million. The overwhelming majority of that is driven into salaries, as we are a service organization. We also spend significant amounts of money on pharmacies and medications for the people that we serve, and consulting service, professional services as well. Again, as this body knows, in the adult mental health population, we serve people who are eligible for services with schizophrenia or psychosis-related disorders, bipolar disorder, major depression with suicidal ideation. And in the children's mental health areas, that diagnosis for eligibility is a little bit more flexible, with a mental health diagnosis and serious functional impairment. And on the intellectual and developmental disability side, a mental retardation diagnosis defined by Texas Health and Safety Code, autism, and now most recently, nursing facility residents who have a specialized services need pursuant to the Social Security Act. We've just begun those services and those assessments this year. We have a wide service array, intake eligibility, case management, homeless outreach, psychiatric medication management, pharmacy, crisis hotline, cognitive and behavioral processing therapies, supported housing, assertive community treatment, substance abuse, jail diversion, veterans outreach, home and community-based services, and some of our new programs, the mental health officer program, drop-in centers, and primary medical care, which I'll talk about more here in just a moment. Persons served by county. This is the breakout by Willacy, Cameron, and Hidalgo County. You'll see that the biggest number is Hidalgo County, with over 10,000 people unduplicated in our services last year. That number will increase significantly this year as our $1115 come in and we open up services, expand our capacity to serve even more people. Again, I'll mention that more here in a moment. 5-year trend for services. Here, this is just here in Hidalgo County. You can see there's been a slight increase up, but it's been fairly flat. Again, we will have a big increase this year. Out of Valley Hospital admissions, I know that this issue has been one that this court has been very interested in. You'll see back in September '07, that was basically our baseline. Between 40 and 50 people per month were leaving the Rio Grande Valley for inpatient mental health care. We were able to secure some monies from the state. We got some additional monies for the state that Hidalgo and Cameron County helped us with match dollars for. We're able to institute some programs that dramatically increase the number of people leaving the valley for services to now we've got that to about 5 to 6 people per month that are leaving the valley. And again, we have another 1115 project I'll mention, just an event that's going to have a big impact on that concern as well. Inpatient care, this is what's driving those decrease decreases in leaving the valley. We're able to secure monies for contracts with Doctors Hospital at Renaissance, Valley Baptist at their East Campus in Brownsville, and South Texas Behavioral, their inpatient psychiatric facilities, to contract for those beds when they were needed. We were able to keep people here in the valley as opposed to go places like San Antonio State Hospital or other places around the state. So this is how those funding have broken out for patients coming out of Hidalgo County. The majority of them have been at South Texas Behavioral and Doctors Hospital. It's basically flip-flopped in Cameron County. The majority go to Valley Baptist, which of course makes sense as those facilities are closest to their homes. The Hidalgo County initiatives that we're working on this year, elimination of our youth waiting list. I'm very, very pleased to report that as of right now, today, we have completely eliminated the waiting list for children. We have no waiting list for any kids waiting to come in to services. And our next target is elimination of our adult waiting list. We've made great strides with that. Last summer, we had almost 900 people on that waiting list. As of today, there's 276. It's our goal within the next 2 months to have that waiting list eliminated as well. This has been a big task by a lot of our staff. We've done a lot of expanding. We've worked very hard to get everybody in that we possibly can that needs services. We're very pleased with that. We know that there's a tipping point out there somewhere in the future as our local population continues to grow. We'll only have so much capacity, but for now, we've got everybody in. We're also working very closely with the Hidalgo County Juvenile Detention and Boot Camp. We continue working, as we have for many years, with the Harris County Jail and sending docs into the jail to provide services that are needed there. We've set up some new substance abuse inpatient detox services and received some monies for long-term supported housing services, which are now treating over 100 new people in helping them with that temporary housing situation and making sure they're not ending up homeless or in other sorts of residential services. Just for illustration and reminder, the lion's share of local support that we get is from Hidalgo County, just over $866,000 from Hidalgo County. That's all funds from our match funds for our the Department of State Health Services dollars we get, as well as the inpatient dollars that had the additional match attached to that. That split between the counties is based on population, is how the match requirement is broken out. And just briefly, I want to go over our 1115 projects because they are having a dramatic impact for us and for what we do. And again, I want to recognize Eddie and his staff. They've done a wonderful job as anchor. They've had to say grace over an immense amount of data and have really exceeded our expectations and have been very helpful for us as we get a lot of very ambitious projects off the ground. As I mentioned, the first and foremost is expanding our behavioral health capacity to bring people on the waiting list into services. That's been a big one for us. We will be completely successful with that in the next couple of months. We'll be growing our overall and ongoing capacity by more than 1,000 people. Increasing care to specialized services, what we call co-occurring psychiatric and substance abuse disorders. We have a lot of people that have those concerns, and we're increasing our ability to serve that population. Enhancing our mobile crisis outreach staff to also provide services to people with mental illness and developmental disabilities. And one we're very excited about, integrating primary and behavioral health care in each of our facilities. We're hiring a doctor, a primary care doctor, dropping him into each one of our clinics, so not only can people get the mental health services that they need, if they don't have access to a primary care physician, if they don't have other health care and they have other comorbid sorts of conditions, whether that's diabetes, chronic hypertension, we can walk across the hall and get that service within our service array as well. We've already started that in Harlingen. We're already serving more than 10 people a day. We look to work that up to 15 to 18 per day at each one of our sites. So that will be getting going very, very quickly, and we are very confident it's going to significantly increase health outcomes for the people that we serve. Our mental health officer project that I mentioned earlier, we're hiring 18 different mental health officers in conjunction and partnership with many of the cities and municipalities across the valley. Of course, first we have Edinburgh Police Department's already committed 3 officers to the program. Mission ISD is involved. We have South Padre Island, Harlingen, all across the valley we have law enforcement that's going to be involved in assigning people to this project, and we're going to reimburse them for the cost of that officer. But as they're assigned to us, they're going to work on the needs that we have, whether that's executing the Section 26s and 28s, again, which I know has come before this body a number of times, being involved in wellness checks, going out and working in the community. Anything that we have, those transports that has historically fallen to local law enforcement, we are going to try to take care of the majority of that with these 18 officers that we're hiring. They will be starting February 1st, just under 2 weeks. We've already got the commitment from Edinburgh. They'll be the first officers to start those projects. We're very excited about that. Another 1115 project to take work off our local emergency rooms is we'll be doing the medical clearance. People with mental health issues that are in crisis often have to be medically cleared before they can go to an inpatient facility. We'll begin doing that in-house so people won't have to go to the emergency room for that care. Adding nurse managers for people with chronic comorbid medical illness to follow them. Expanding our telehealth, increasing our peer-provided services, establishing drop-in centers, care navigation services, and mental health care navigation services for women identified with postpartum depression. And we have 3 more projects that we should be hearing back on approval in the next few weeks, which will be expansion of our Weslaco clinic, another clinic going full-time here in Hidalgo County, adding mobile outpatient mental health clinics for all of our counties to get into the Colonia areas where people have trouble getting to our clinic areas, and adding new inpatient substance abuse detox and aftercare programs. Again, as I always do, how we try to help you all is to be a resource for you. If you have any of your constituents or anything comes up with mental health or IDD issues, please call us at any time. We'll do whatever we can to help you or your constituents or whatever situation you have going on. We work very hard to leverage local funds to bring in additional state and federal dollars, as you're seeing with the $1115 that we're bringing in, and work to improve understanding of the community about what we do to improve the safety and strength of our communities. So in brief, that's what's going on with us for fiscal year 2013. We have a lot going on last year and a lot moving forward this year. Are there any questions or comments from any of the
I know that last year you told us that when you received your $1115 that you were going to be helping us address that issue of when a justice of the peace signs one of those orders that an individual has to be transported to San Antonio or Houston or someplace. There was a dispute that arose between who had that responsibility, whether it was a county sheriff, county constable, the city police, and there were, we were trying to define who had that responsibility when you represented that you might be able to get involved in helping us. Are any of those 8 officers going to be involved in doing that type of service?
Well, it's going to be across the board. Any law enforcement officer, any law enforcement agency we're reaching out to see if they have interest in assigning anyone to this program. It will very directly affect that concern that had made its way to your court. I've repeated that with 18 officers trying to cover the entire valley 24/7, 365, there will still be times in which we'll need to call that local law enforcement agency to assist in some capacity, depending on what we have going on at the time.
Do you think we need to develop some kind of a policy that people can look at and be able to determine when your agency will be providing that service and when it will be the responsibility of the county or the city?
It would be a good idea, Judge, because the question of whose responsibility that ultimately falls to, that question still exists. And basically the way we're going to handle the situations is as emergency comes up, we're going to deal with them until we're out of officers. And if we have, sometimes it's very, very busy at our shop. Other times it's very slow. When we have very, very busy times, that's where we're going to try to staff most of the officers. But again, there will be times where we're going to have to make that phone call. So it would be good to look at some sort of policy to that effect.
So they'll be able to work these 8 officers with our justices of the peace.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Any questions? If not, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners.
Item 7, our constables. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Guerra's out there. Someone please call him. All right. And let's proceed on to item number 7, our constables.
Judge, Commissioners, if I may, for Constable Precinct 4, they're asking approval to process these invoices as claims. They're asking this with the authority of the county treasurer to issue payment after review, audit, and processing procedures are completed by our county auditor's office. The invoices are for LexisNexis, both in the amount of $174, and the respective dates are September 30th, 2013 and October 31st, 2013.
No problem. Mr. Ofracio?
No. Again?
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 8, our HR, Ms. Cortez.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Item 8A, 1, approval of the following personnel actions. Delete from Department 123008, Slot 2, vacant, Park Coordinator at 39963, and create Department 125001, Slot 18, Environmental Compliance Monitor 2 at 39963.
Move for approval.
Second.
1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3.
Okay, that's the money we're transferring to you all, right?
Yes,
Yes.
to assist us with our,
Position on our precinct.
right, in the environmental division.
Thank you.
Is
Those
that-
in favor, say aye.
All 3?
Aye,
Hold
motion
on.
carries.
Is that 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Those in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
thank you
Aye,
very
motion
much.
carries. Item 9, our Sheriff's Office.
Hi, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
Morning. Richard Ozuna, Sheriff's Office, Hidalgo County, on behalf of our Sheriff, Lupe Trevino. 9A, under number 1 is the approval to authorize for the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office to continue the participation in the Texas 1033 surplus property program.
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item number 2 is authorization for the county judge as the authorized official to sign the required documents.
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Item 10, our Health Department.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners.
Morning, Eddie.
I'd like to start off with just offering my condolences to former Commissioner Garza's family and passing, and thank him for many years of service to the community. Sir, I'd like to move on to item 10A. It's our Hidalgo Fit program. Our Hidalgo Fit is our brand for our wellness program for Hidalgo County. I would like to call up some of our committee members. I'd like to have Mr. Gary Looney come forward. Tita, please come forward. Flora, please come forward. Jaime, please come this way. I'd like to acknowledge, I'm not sure if it's this one. Okay. Yeah. I'd like to acknowledge the hard work of our committee. Come forward, please. This wellness program, which you and the Commissioners Court put us in charge of, is a very detailed program that involves several key areas. That we need to focus in on. Our number 1 goal is to decrease utilization. The task you put before us to decrease utilization to help save the county some money, but also to put the responsibility of health care and health concerns back on the employee. And the number 1 goal that we all have was to focus in those areas. So what I wanted to bring up today was thanks to Gary and his hard work, and Tita from Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Flora, of course, with her leadership, we've been able to put a package together that is going to be comprehensive over the months to come to look at five primary areas to focus on. One is education and dealing with educational awareness and prevention. The other was clinical programming, to look at direct intervention and clinical involvement with our employees. The other area will be policy development, which we are going to invite Ms. Cortez in the future to be part of this committee, because it actually involved developing county policies and making sure that our employees partake and maximize the services available to them to become healthier, again, with the goal of decreasing utilization and cost to the county. The other area is community partnership, which we're working with our hospitals and our doctors locally. And of course, the last part is billing and finance, where we're dealing with Flora and her office and Tita, and of course, Gary, in dealing with how we deal with utilization and billing services. One of the things we're focusing in is to provide services, like just recently we gave over 1,000 flu vaccines. We charge that to Blue Cross Blue Shield through our county insurance, but that revenue is actually coming back to the county. And that could be considered a savings or component to actually bring in a savings to the county. You tasked us, as several departments here, to come up with efforts to save the county money. We're coming before you on here the second, third week of the new year, demonstrating that we're moving forward on trying to save the county monies. I'd like to bring it up for a couple of discussions, Mr. Looney, if you wanted to bring something up, some ideas or concepts.
One of the things, Commissioners, that we want to make sure that we do is that we educate each employee as to what is currently available for them to use in the decision-making process for their health care. We've added a couple of new options to the plan this year in January. One is a 24/7 nurse health line, which is available to any employee to access for information concerning any kind of health care need. And we're adding a program called Blue Access, which employees will be able to enter into individually through the internet to be able to manage and maintain information concerning the history of their health care and the utilization of the plan that they're using personally. We're also developing a database of information so that we'll be able to monitor the success of the program. We truly expect to have success in the program as far as the efforts that we're making currently.
Just very quickly, Judge, Commissioners, one of the things that you'll see, one of the tangible items that you'll see very quickly is the Public Affairs Department has been developing a series of newsletters, employee-type newsletters that are going to be distributed to the department heads and to the elected officials so that they can be distributed to the employees. And these monthly newsletters are going to have such things as healthy eating habits, healthy exercises folks can do, as well as an educational component that's going to help the employee to know about the nurse hotline, to know about the difference between showing up at the emergency room, for a bad cold versus going to a doctor's office, and what the difference in cost is. Because we all know that in the middle of the night, if someone's not feeling well, certainly if they need to go to the emergency room, they need to do that. But if it's something that they could have seen a doctor, there's a difference in cost, not only to the employee in terms of copay, but there's a difference in cost to the taxpayers of Hidalgo County as far as where that hits the bottom line. So we want to do some of that education as well. You'll see that on a monthly basis coming from our Public Information Office.
One of the key areas, Judge, Commissioners, that we could immediately, I'd like to encourage all county employees, effective now. We have a 24/7 nurses hotline that's available to answer questions and direction and dealing with healthcare. Instead of showing up to the ER room, call the 24/7 hotline. They'll be able to assist with that. That's on your insurance card, on the back of your insurance card, and you could get some good direction. The other thing is that we encourage all our employees to have a medical home. If you do not have a doctor, a family doctor, look at your benefits package or get in contact with Flora's office, and they give you a list of physicians that are available in the county. Get a doctor, because what happens is, for you go to an urgent care, you go to your doctor, they charge this much. You go to urgent care, they charge this much. You go to the ER room, they charge this much. All right? So our goal is to decrease ER visits, decrease urgent care visits, and go to the doctor where it'll cost us less, and we save funding that way. So we're focusing on that, but These folks, sir, have done a tremendous job, and we're going forward. But there's going to be a series of other things that are going to happen simultaneously with this, including developing a county-wide policy for all employees. And that's where we're going to need Ms. Cortez, and of course, probably either Mr. Crane or Ms. Ramirez's help from the DA's office in coordinating all that in the future. So we'll work on that.
Do you have a medical doctor as part of your committee? Dr. Melendez?
Dr. Melendez is our medical chief, and he did not make our meeting this last week, but we are in contact with him, reviewing all the directions. Our PA has worked with, our physician assistant is working directly with Dr. Melendez and reviewing all the procedures and some of the programs, clinical programs we're looking at in the near future. Gary and myself are getting together, I think this week, I think the schedule was this week, where we're going to have our conference to really focus in on the beginnings and the development of a county-based clinic for county employees and looking at saving costs there.
What about the calcium test? Did he look at it? Did he consider that?
Sir, one of the calcium tests, we looked at all the different coding that we could charge and bill. The calcium test, we're reviewing it. We're assessing if that could be added to the component. At this time, it's not on there, but it doesn't mean it can't be, and we're reviewing that.
Is a cholesterol test going to be done by through a blood test?
Yes, sir. The cholesterol test will probably be done that way initially until we see other methods that might be available.
If you're going to have access to that blood, why don't we test it for anything else or everything else?
Well, those are the things we're trying to coordinate with what's benefit in the package.
Yeah, Judge, we're working on identifying exactly what we want in that package, and we're getting medical feedback from the physician.
Do we still have an opportunity under third-party administrator agreement to try to locate a facility that'll give us better rates if we all of a sudden are able to channel, a greater number of patients?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There is actually, sir, this year, Blue Cross Blue Shield is offering all our county employees, it started January 1 of this year, you would have access to the internet. And on that internet access, not all employees have it, but we're going to provide an education component to all our employees. There is actually an area where you could actually compare pricing all over Hidalgo County on services. For example, an MRI. We had an employee who her son in Little League hurt his leg, needed an MRI. Well, went to one facility, they were charging $1,300, $1,400. She went to the Blue Cross Blue Shield site, and there's an actual area where you could compare. She found the same MRI, the same situation, procedures, everything done for $800 at another location. Went to that location, saved the county, $600, $700? And just clicking a little location on a website and compare shopping. And that is available now through Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's called our cost estimator on the actual website. And we will get that information out to public affairs to be able to put it on our portals and on our time card components so they could actually get that email address to register and be part of that internet access.
What about exams such as colonoscopies that are somewhat a little bit more expensive, but they're certainly a lot better than...
We added the cost estimator this year to the benefit plan so that you'll be able to go online again and identify those areas that have the better pricing, and they have a actual, on the cost estimator, it actually has a quality level so that you can go through a quality.
But besides comparing the pricing, I would like to see if we can negotiate further, saying that, last year you may have done 10 colonoscopies and scattered them throughout the county. This year we intend to funnel about 25 or more, which is probably going to be a lot more because of the number of employees that we have that may want to participate. Maybe get some better pricing than what is shown on that computer.
One of the things, like I said, Judge, one of the things we're doing is we're taking that coding process and identifying the services that are being rendered in relationship to that code. That CPT code is a code they use to identify the specific process. And we're working with Eddie's office and we're working with the physician group to identify which one of those codes that we can then have in our database that we can then direct traffic in those areas.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any questions?
One of the things, Tita, who's our Blue Cross Blue Shield representative directly, joins us at all our meetings, and she's the one brought in an educator this week in educating us on this whole internet component. I really encourage each and every one of you, all our employees, just go to the site. It's easy, it's on your card, on the back of the card, and it's not difficult. It is very easy to navigate, and you would be surprised immediately, you could see a cost savings, immediately. And that'll be a cost savings for your out-of-pocket, for your deductible, the different things. Remember, a lot of the services we provide through our insurance, like our annual physicals, there is no cost, no out-of-pocket for the annual physicals. That is covered 100% by our insurance, and every employee needs to get one. So we encourage that. Other questions, Judge, Commissioners?
Doesn't appear like it, so thank you very much.
Well, sir, the thanks goes to these folks. They're the ones that make it happen, sir. So I acknowledge your hard work. Thank you. Next item, sir, is another direction we're going, and I'd like to call up, we have Savannah and we have Jaime. I'm going to call you again, Jaime. And do we have planning here, Mr. Cecine? I think. Okay, Raul has joined us. We're going to talk about discussing an update on amendments to existing Hidalgo County rules for regulation of food establishment in the unincorporated areas for Hidalgo County. And let me pass this out. What we're doing, Judge, is we got a PowerPoint that we're going to give a quick presentation on. Thank you, because I don't have one. I give mine away.
What's the file?
It was the food vendor file. Well, we'll use the handout. It's on there, but I'm not sure where they put it.
Is it under help? Oh, here we go.
Here we go. One of the directions that was given, there was several concerns in regards to our mobile vendor policy in the county. And one of the directions, we've been working on this policy, and I'd like to acknowledge a lot of hard work from the judge's office and Jaime and Oscar Montoya, constables, each of the constables' offices, the commissioners, chiefs of staff. Each of your chiefs of staff took part in the meetings for each of the commissioners' office, the DA's office with Savannah and Ms. Ramirez. We worked real hard on that. The fire marshal's office, planning, Mr. Cecine and TJ and his team worked on that. There's been a slew of folks that have worked on this. This is a major project for us in the county. And again, this is in line with the direction the Commissioner's Court gave on budget savings and bringing in, looking at some cost issues. This new policy would look directly at providing the following services. Our permitting process is going to be changing, where we're going to be issuing permits for our mobile vendors, but we're also changing the fee structure for our restaurant and permanent larger establishments. This application reviewed by Hidalgo County Health, Planning, Fire Marshal's Office, been reviewed by our DA's office and some of the directions Savannah's helped us with. It's annual inspections for all food vendors, types, and locations. There will be a general push cart provision. There was a lot of concerns in regards to the little hot dog vendors and the push cart components. There's going to be some changes and rulings of that. There'll be a mobile vendor must present waste retention and disposal plans, which are key. The fees, as you can see, are going to be changing this coming year with approval of this in the weeks to come. From the fees, you can see the fee structure in 2013 to the fee structure this year that we're proposing based on the size of the restaurant, the size of the provider of service. That'll be changing. And this is very much in compliance with other counties and other areas throughout Texas. Our fees are in line with everyone else. In fact, still less than many of the larger areas throughout the state of Texas. So that's in place as well. We're proposing the next proposed changes defines the types of violations and consequences for them, includes environmental health, OSSF planning, environmental compliance, right-of-way, fire marshal departments. In the review, all those different folks have been involved with this, and it includes them in being the actual enforcement component as well. Addresses the flea market concerns you all had in regards to flea markets and how they're dealing with this. And one of the things we're proposing in this is to develop the establishment of mobile food courts. And you see these in the larger areas where you have a cemented area, paved area with sewer, electricity, everything. All you do is you back up your little mobile vendor, you plug into the sewer, plug into electrical, do that way, and you have a venue that's set up for entertainment, but it's a short-term venue. They go set up, and then they leave that same day. It's just a turnaround time. So we're looking at that as well and address the additional food cart issues. There's concerns about restrooms and hand washing, clarifies the restroom agreements requirements, requires electricity agreements and provides a template agreement to work with the vendors, and requires mobile food vendors to utilize commercial grade equipment for all sales and preparation of food, and requires a biannual inspection of mobile food vendors at Hidalgo County Health and Human Services, and update to freeze. I'd like to open it up to discussion from Savannah if she has any additional points, and Mr. Sassine if they want to bring up some points.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. We did look at several different counties throughout the state of Texas, and as Mr. Olivares mentioned, this is in line with what they're doing. Obviously, Austin, Houston have much bigger mobile food vendor populations than what we have down here, but what we'd like to do is get this under control now before it becomes a greater problem. We looked at several different policies, and we chose from what was going to work best for our county. We have a lot of those roadside vendors, the hot dog vendors, taquito stands, things like that, that we need to make sure are being that are producing food safely and effectively, and that it's not going to become a greater health concern for the general population. So we also implemented some templates where they would give us electricity and restroom agreements, and that would allow us to make sure that these mobile food vendors have access to hot water, pressure systems, things like that, where they can be washing their hands regularly. That's also very important for the health and safety of our consumers, excuse me. So generally, the policy is ready to go. What we'd like to do is have at least one public hearing. It's not required, but Mr. Olivares feels that it's something that we can do to educate the population as to the new changes for the fees, and then also to get some feedback and make sure that these are requirements that the general population can comply with. Excuse me.
Just real quick, Raul Sin, Planning Administrator. We obviously have been looking at this. From our perspective, has been more accessibility to the sites. We've seen a lot of these mobile vendors, they're called, because they're on wheels. They go and they set up. However, they become permanent. Some mobile vendors have been there for years now, and that's not really the intent of the mobile vendor. I guess the current order and the new order is going to be addressed now with this. Some type of the food court, as Eddie mentioned, would be a good option there, that it could be set up, proper sanitary conditions. We'll look at ingress and egress onto the property to make sure it has proper accessibility, things like that. And that would work hand in hand with the health department to make sure that those vendors are providing obviously safe food, but also the accessibility of the people that are visiting those sites are also having proper access to be there. So it goes hand in hand with what we've also been looking at as well.
Just following up on what Mr. Sassine said, one of the issues that we hear a lot of is regarding the mobile vendors is that they become permanent, and they may not have permanent type facilities like bathroom facilities or hand washing facilities. So one of the things that's in here actually that is being proposed is that the actual vendor bring his puesto or his trailer in for inspection every 6 months, so that we can be reassured that it is a mobile kind of situation and they're able to move in and out. So that's one of the highlights of that particular. Yeah, they're also requiring that there be a TxDOT inspection of that particular trailer, that particular facility.
So with all this in mind, sir, we have a copy of the policy change as part of your packet. We'd like for you all to review that. The next course of action, and what we're requesting here today, is for us to be able to, we're going to go forward, and we'd like to recommend, it is not required, but we'd like to recommend that there be a public hearing available to the community. We could advertise this as a public hearing in the weeks to come. The general goal is to have this completed by the end of February, middle or end of February, have the hearing, have the adoption, and then implement the new rules that are in place by the middle of February, end of February, of course, pending your all's approval. So that's a general direction we have for that, and I'm open to questions, comments, or discussion in regards to that. If there isn't any, sir, please, if you have a chance, review the policies. We're going to bring this back on the agenda in the weeks to come for the hearing and the formal adoption. So please, you may want to look at this. And also, your chiefs of staff have been part of these meetings too, so they could give you an update on some of this as well.
All right, sir.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got it. All right, next item, sir, is, let me get my papers here in order. Pursuant to Chapter 121 Local Public Health Reorganization Act, Section 121.006, requesting approval for the approval of the full pay schedule of fees to be effective January 21st, 2014. There's been some fee structure changes within our clinics, sir. What we're looking at is our ongoing cost, an increase in costs in laboratory fees has been going up. We're looking at passing some of this cost to our patients, but at the same time, we are looking at decreasing the intake administration costs. We're looking at a fee change of $5 that will be changing. So we're taking $5 from one area and adding it to the lab fees to make up for the lab fee cost, and that'll help us pay some of the laboratory costs. That's what that item is about, sir.
Are those fee changes as listed on the back of page 1?
Yes, that's part of your package, sir. That's correct.
In action?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
For approval?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Do it subject to surplus, because I didn't do it. If you want me to say it, I'll do it.
Go ahead.
Okay. Judge Commissioners, the next item is request for approval on an interlocal cooperation agreement between Hidalgo County and the city of Edcouch. The purpose is to transfer animal cages that the county is intending to surplus. We're asking that this be approved subject to the surplusing of those cages. There should have been a corresponding item under purchasing. It's not on today's agenda, but it will be on next week's agenda. Ms. Salazar will present it next week. So we're asking for approval subject to surplusing.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. Item E is requesting approval of the equipment purchase with Superior Alarm with approval to have county judge sign the agreement.
Move for approval?
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item
Aye,
2, sir.
motion carries.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Eddie.
Item 2 is requesting approval of the Superior Alarm Commercial Alarm Monitoring Agreement and addendum for the following Health Department clinic locations with approval to have the county judge sign the agreements and addendums as indicated for Edinburgh, Elsa, McAllen, Farr, Westaco, Edinburgh Clinic, Westaco Mission, and Edinburgh Central Office areas.
Move for approval.
Second.
Eddie, were these let out for bids and competitive bidding?
This is part of our contract we have through the county and Ms. Salazar's office through purchasing. They're the ones that handle all the bids and components. They're the ones that
But
did
they
that.
were let out for competitive bidding.
They're part of, excuse me, Judge, they're part of a co-op, and these are permitted under the co-op. What happened there was a delay in the vendor accepting some terms and conditions, and Mr. Crane and Mr. Yoder finally addressed those and agreed to them, but this is all permitted under our co-op agreement.
So we did not let it out for competitive
No, we
bidding?
piggybacked off of a co-op purchasing program awarded.
How do you, well,
We have several, Judge. We have at least 3 different vendors who provide us this type of contract.
all right.
Thank you, Marty.
Any questions? If not, would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
So the next item, let me pass this out. Oh, this is. So the next item is considering an approval to consideration and approval to assess the mandatory payment and assessment dates of fiscal year 2014 for Hidalgo County Health Funding District. This one was a particular one in regards to, we had a public hearing, we assessed a particular fee to be given and the percentage to be issued to our hospitals locally, and The total amount for this particular quarter would be $11,167,340, $11,167,340.95. All this was approved prior. The only thing we did not have approval, because we had not got clarification from the state, was on the actual drawdown dates that all this would take place and the collection dates. What we're looking at, the first and second quarter payments are due no later than February 28, 2014 to the state, and then at that point, we will collect this prior to that. The third installment and fourth installments are as indicated on the second page, May 31st, 2014 and August 31st, 2014 respectively. So the action today is to follow through on the December 20th public hearing, which was held with a payment rate approval of 3.5%, which will generate $44,669,663 as per attached. The court requested that we place this on the agenda for FY 2014.
Eddie, last time you had this item, there was a schedule presented to court, but apparently had some wrong information, right? So this is
Yeah, there was an error with the way my Excel spreadsheet did it alphabetically versus by this spreadsheet on here is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item G is requesting approval to accept the GLSS LPHS grant addendum 2014-001052-01. The purpose of this amendment is to increase the contract by $24,021. This is our public health administrative contract we have with the Department of State Health Services. They had reduced our contract by $24,021, but due to some legislative changes, they were able to put the money back in, and they've restated that amount that was taken away. So that's what that item 1 is about, sir.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2, requesting approval of certification of revenue as stated by the county auditor.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 3, requesting approval to appropriate the increase in the funding amount of $24,021.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 8, sir, is directly involved with item E, which involved the security Superior Alarm System. I'm requesting approval to process the following invoices for Superior Alarm as a claim after the auditing procedures are completed by county auditor. This was due to the delay of the contractual agreements and changes. That's why this claim is coming forward, sir.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item I, sir, is I'm requesting approval to process the following invoices as a claim after auditing procedure. Yes, sir.
Just a minute.
One of the invoices here says April 30th, 2014, so we're paying in advance, the monitoring?
Yes, this is for the monitoring for the alarm system.
Right, I know, but we're in January 2014.
Right.
So this invoice says April, so we're paying in advance for the services that we're gonna get in the future?
I need to double check on that one, Mr. Horacio. I know that we're focusing on getting the 2013 out of the way, but I know for 2014, the PO and the requisitions are already in place for 2014 to deal with it. But just the 2013 was in question last year's. That's what I understand it, sir. So this year, we're all in place to get everything paid for this year. But now with the agreement that's been taken care of, we're trying to get last year's payments covered. May I move on to item I, sir? Okay. Requesting approval to process the following invoices as a claim after auditing procedures are completed by county auditor. Sir, this is an ongoing situation that hopefully will get resolved this month. This is a Time Warner transition. We transitioned our internet components and our telephone components at several of our county sites. This is a DIR contract that's available to Time Warner. My understanding is that this issue should be resolved. This is coming in as a claim because there was a delay in the way the process was being done for our Ethernet component, which is our connectivity between computers. And our data stream has not been operational. It is operational now, so the billing came in now, even though the agreement was done last year. This is all trying to be coordinated through Mr. Ramirez's office and my office and Time Warner. It's part of the confusion of all this Time Warner changing that's taking place, sir.
Move for approval?
Second. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item J, Healthcare Funding District, sir. I don't have any particular items there unless you have questions. Item K, Indigent Healthcare Program. I don't have any particular questions or items there unless you have any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Item 11, RIT Department.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Item 11A, small item, requesting approval for the following claims invoices as listed. This is for a Time Warner PRI circuit.
Move for approval?
Second. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners, have a good morning.
Item 12, Urban County.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
Requesting approval to amend the Proyectos Teca Community-Based Development Organization, CBDO, contract under the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, ENSP 3. The amendment will reallocate $80,000 to be utilized with an additional single-family housing unit.
Move for approval. Check. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Next item is the Urban County Program on behalf of Hidalgo County Precinct Number 3. Is requesting consideration and action to award and enter into construction contract with Foremost Paving, Inc. for a street improvements project in the amount of $351,280, utilizing funds from UCP years 17, 21, 23, and 24 street improvements line item.
Move for approval. Second. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 1, requesting approval of an order granting an exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 262, Section 024A7, an item that can only be obtained from only one source.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 2, approval of a sole source declaration with authority to enter into a contribution in aid of a construction agreement with AEP Texas Central Company in the amount of $24,158.34 for the installation of primary poles and streetlights within the city of La Jolla.
Move for approval?
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item, request approval to declare and dispose the assets listed on Exhibit A and Exhibit B surplus and clear inventory list.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Arco,
Yes, sir.
item 12B, you have UCP year 17, 21, 23, and 24, but you have years 2004, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Is there a UCP year missing there somewhere?
Yes, those are the years we list them as far as the years, but see, this is the 26th year that we are operating in right now.
Yeah.
So we have the different years, so we have different numbers for them, so we list both of them.
All right. I know, but there's 4 UCP years, but 5 fiscal years.
Oh, yes, under 17, 21, 20, and then we have 5 years. It should only be through 11. It should be through 11.
Are you lacking one?
210 should not be in there.
I'm sorry?
210 should not be in
Should not be,
there.
okay. All right. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vargo. Item 13, our Elections Office.
Yes, sir. Item 13A is requesting approval of the following invoice as a claim with authority for the county treasurer to issue payment after review, audit, and processing procedures are completed by the county auditor. That's invoice date 11/2013 to Information Management Solutions, invoice number 18052 in the amount of $450.
Judge, the invoice 18052 is for voter cards delivery fee. The contract that the county has with the vendor for the voter cards includes a delivery fee. So this invoice, it's not in accordance with the contract that the county has with the vendor.
real quick. In 2012, when I assisted the previous accountant when working on the massive mailout, to my understanding, I was under the impression that along that we needed to use our permit 48 from the local post office. So I had a check cut out to the local post office for $67,000 to pay for that. Like I said, I was under the impression that we needed to use our permit number. After that had been done and the bid had been awarded, the delivery problem arose as to where it was going to be delivered, whether it was going to be delivered to the San Antonio post office or to our local post office. In the contract, it doesn't state where, it just says the delivery. So since I had already cut the check to the local post office, and my impression was that we needed to use permit 48, we then went to purchasing to ask them for help to find out what we needed to do as to this issue. Well, we were informed that we could use and open up a separate PO, in which we did, and it was opened up for delivery. So that is the problem that we arise now as to where was the delivery supposed to go as far as those voter certificates.
All right. Any other concerns or questions?
I really think it's an issue the court needs to decide on. Let me give you my position. We had a very productive discussion about this. The position of purchasing was that the word delivery in the specifications included the delivery. Number one, we had no vendor at any time ask us for a clarification of what delivery meant. Okay, that's one. The problem here, and the vendor is falling victim to this, is that I have now a string of emails between the elections department and the vendor post-award, indicating that they recognize that maybe he was confused on delivery and the term up, but we were never included. So to that end, the vendor, I think, was given to understand that indeed delivery was two things. The ones that are not mailed out, which are just the cards, and those were delivered by UPS, okay? And so what I've done, I've told my staff, let us make notes on the next procurement cycle of this item where delivery is going to be defined. Now, I also argued this point, Judge, that you'll know that we tried all other avenues. I believe that the vendors out there should be informed that when a postage meter is issued, it can only be used in that city. But apparently, there was more confusion since the vendor kept talking to elections, but we were not privy to those conversations. So I think in that respect, the vendor did walk away with the concept that the delivery was separate and could be added in that way. So I do believe it's your call. I'm not uncomfortable if you go ahead and accept the claim, but because I believe there is some room for confusion here. And elections has been informed that as far as the procurement process, we need to be in on every step of the way, and I won't try to tell them how to run an election.
I think the court has already approved it, subject to.
Right, and I think that's what he needed. He needed the court to.
What I'm saying is the contract doesn't allow for this, but
But as I said, there are a lot of factors in here that lead me to believe that the vendor was, well, not misinformed, but had walked away with the wrong impression. And unfortunately, we weren't there to correct that impression. So I believe it is a justifiable expense. All right?
Thank you, Mark.
It's approved.
I'm not sure if we actually voted on it. Those in favor of the motion as made and seconded indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 14, Precinct 1.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Raul Lozano with Commissioner A.C. Cuellar's office. Item A, we're requesting authorization for the county to execute an interlocal agreement between the county and the city of Weslaco for the Mile 9 or Sugarcane project. The city has already approved this interlocal.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion
And item
carries.
2 is acceptance and approval of the agreement.
Is there a second? Those in favor say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Aye, motion carries. Item 15, Precinct 2.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning,
Raul
sir.
Severo representing Commissioner Palacios, Precinct 2. Item 15A reads, requesting approval of the following claims/invoices with authority for county treasurer to issue payment check after review, audit, and processing procedures are completed by the county auditor. These are 7 claims, 7 invoices, and the road maintenance department is listed, total $599.82, and 7 invoices as listed from the countywide shop for a total of $54.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. Item 16, Precinct 4.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Item 16A is the approval of agreement between the County of Hidalgo, Texas, and North Alamo Water Supply Cooperation. I'm going to go ahead and read item number 2, too. Also, it's approval of the modified non-standard water service agreement.
Judge,
Yes.
got several concerns, comments regarding this item. Number one, funding information was not provided.
Mr. Ofracio, we have I apologize for that, but we have provided the account information to the auditors.
Okay.
The account has already been provided.
The other item, Judge, is the Exhibit A subdivision plat was not attached either. So I don't know if it's needed or.
Mr. Ofracio, again, Rothstein Planning Administrator, we're doing that in-house. We're preparing that in-house since this is a county project, and there is no ETJ in that area, so it's going to be full county approval. Part of the agreement that we have with North Alamo and the license agreement is to provide a subdivision plat, so my office is generating that information.
Will be attached at a later date?
I would suggest that you approve this item subject to final legal review after the subdivision plat is.
Yeah, basically the plat's going to be generated in-house, so we're working on
legal
it.
review and the concerns that address the concerns of the auditor.
Yeah.
Move for approval with subject to.
I'm not finished yet. Another concern or comment regarding the legal counsel's review and approval of this, of the agreement. I don't know if it's already been done.
That was the reason I was asking, subject to approval, legal review after the subdivision plat.
Subject to.
And also,
legal
okay.
review.
All right, we have a motion and a
Thank you.
second, subject to approve, subject to those addressing of those 3 concerns. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And Judge,
Thank you, sir.
the second item is a separate agreement with them, and that needs to be separately voted on.
All right.
Item number 2 is approval of modified non-standard water service agreement.
And the agreement will be attached later?
Yes, sir.
Now, that agreement,
It's actually.
that agreement has already been
Yeah.
finalized between them.
You've already reviewed it then?
Yes, I have.
And just to give you the historical perspective on this, Mr. Faracio and Judge, this infrastructure that we're trying to build is cooperation with North Alamo Water Supply, which will be for our CRC facility, which will be constructed in the San Carlos area, and our Sunflower Park, which will benefit, obviously, the area of San Carlos.
All right, would entertain a motion to approve?
So move with the comment as well. North Alamo Water, and I want to thank Rose Cecine, had worked together to find out alternative measures. Originally, it was going to cost about $1 million. We reduced our cost way significantly to be able to go ahead and do this project. So I want to thank you for the work you guys have done.
All right, those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
I'm going to request, Judge, at this time that we move table item 16B and C till after executive session.
Not table, but.
Sorry, not table.
Take no action.
Take no action at this time. Sorry, I was thinking the city.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 17, our budget office.
Morning, Judge Commissioner. Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget Management. Item 17A, status update and discussion on the refunding of outstanding bonds. Judge Commissioners, we discussed last year a possible refunding of 3 bond series, Series 2002, 2004, and 2005. As far as the current market as of January 15th for Series 2002 and 2004, which are basically columns A and B on the worksheet that I've passed out, the interest has pretty much remained stable. It's actually gone down a little bit for those 2 series. So those 2 are still favorable to be executed. However, on the taxable series, the interest rate has actually gone up. It's gone up. It was 2.74 estimated interest cost that we would have as of January 15th has gone up to 3.27, over 50 basis points that it's gone up. It's also made the execution of that refunding undesirable at this time. It's inefficient. The present value savings has gone down from roughly about $951,000 to just a little bit over $300,000. And however, the negative arbitrage, which is one of the reasons why we decided not to execute this transaction at that time, that's also gone down from $1.1 million to $763,000. And the negative arbitrage is basically the opportunity cost because the 2005 refunding bonds, they would not become callable till 2015. So we would, in essence, have to put an escrow. So the value that we would earn on the interest on that escrow compared to what we would be paying out would be a negative. That's what results in the negative arbitrage. So right now, as far as on the status for Series 2005, we're just going to be, again, monitoring that series to see what interest rates do. Hopefully, by the time it becomes callable in 2015, interest rates will either have remained stable or have gone down a little bit. That will bring back the savings to roughly over $1 million on that. However, only if interest rates remain stable. For Series 2002 and 2004, I have been discussing with our financial advisor, First Southwest, to perhaps issue a direct placement on that, do a refunding as a direct placement method, which would have lower issuance cost. We would still have Estrada Hinojosa as, they would not serve as the underwriter, but they would serve as the placement officer, which would basically be the same function, just a different terminology. So we will be bringing back something to the court as far as possibly doing a direct placement for those two series. One of the things that, in doing that direct placement, we would have to look at doing that as a bank qualified. The only qualification on that would mean that we would not be able to issue more than $10 million in debt for fiscal year 2014. So basically, we would have the opportunity to do the refunding of the $3 million, roughly $4.6 million, and any other debt that we would issue during the course of this fiscal year, combined with the refunding, would not be able to be in excess of the $10 million. We will have a presentation for the court and probably have a workshop later on to discuss that. I don't know if the court has any questions or...
Is this pertain to the presentation that Estrada Hinojosa made that by refinancing this bond that we would save about $1 million?
Correct.
And then we had a presentation made by First Southwest that if we waited, that we could save $2 million.
Yes, if the market remained the same as it was back in October of 2013, we would be able to achieve a higher savings because of the realization of the negative arbitrage that we had at that time. However, the taxable series, which was the larger of the refunding, that taxable market, the interest rates have gone up on that market, which have basically...
So by hesitating and not acting on it last year, you know, we lost money. We lost the ability to save several $100,000. Am I correct?
Yes, if we were to do the transaction today, we would yield, yes, basically that loss, correct.
We would yield about 700 and something thousand.
It'd be roughly about 650,000, Judge, that we would lose.
Whereas if we had not waited as we were advised by First Southwest, we would have been able to save about $1 million.
Correct.
So what are you recommending that we do at this point?
Right now, as far as for that taxable series 2005, again, the only thing to do there would be to wait on that issuance. However, on the other two series, the 2002 and the 2004, we're going to be looking at possibly doing a refunding for those two series now, so that way we don't lose up on that opportunity. Again, interest rates on those have actually gone down. For those would be on a tax-exempt basis, so those two, actually, that interest rate has gone down. If we do it as a bank qualified, we'd actually have a potential for additional savings for those two.
How much are we be saving by acting on those two issues?
Roughly around 200,000, Judge. just for those two issuances.
So why do you not suggest that we act on all three and save the 650?
Again, if we do all three, the other issuance still has a significant negative arbitrage. Again, the negative arbitrage on that is basically $763,000. It's inefficient. We could look at possibly doing it this time. However, we feel that's inefficient. It's the larger of the refundings. Basically, one of the things we can do is when we look at our capital improvement plan, look at future debt issuances, we would be able to basically hold off on this, do a refunding perhaps in 2015, and be able to structure that refunding in a manner that would be more conducive to the overall plan as opposed to just yielding the annual savings.
What is it that had to happen for us to save the $2 million as represented by First Southwest that did not happen?
Markets would have had to remain stable on that taxable series, which they did not. They went up by 0.5% over the course of from October 2013 to January 15th of this year. They've gone up basically 0.5%, which has basically made it less inefficient than it was even at that time.
Any other questions? Have you visited with Estrada y Hinojosa?
I have not visited with Estrada y Hinojosa as the underwriters, but I have visited with First Southwest. I could give a call to Estrada y Hinojosa as far as looking at the direct placement on those first two issuances, if the court desires.
Is there still a possibility that we could save $2 million?
Not unless rates go back down, Judge, no. No, the only thing that we would be able to do is if rates remain stable and we do the refunding of that 2005 series in 2005, at that point we would be able to achieve $1 million savings on that series itself. However, right now, again, rates have gone up, so I can't guarantee that we would be able to achieve that $1 million, no, sir.
Any other questions? Before we act on it, I would like to hear from both of these firms. I mean, we got one that if we had acted on what they told us, we would have saved $1 million. Then we had another one, because I know they're competing against each other and perhaps for our business, and we relied on our financial consultant. Told us we could, if we waited, we could save $2 million, and in the process, by waiting, we've lost, I guess, $350.
Correct. Actually, it was roughly $650,000 was the loss compared from October to now on that series is $650,000, the debt service savings that we've lost.
You know, some of the other things, said we talked before, as we continue to plan for the future, we've asked for an assessment of where we stood and taking every need upcoming need that we're going to have to focus on, whether that's a courthouse, whether that's, I know Precinct 1 is looking at the need of replacing some old equipment just to maintain the demand that he has out there. But we've asked for models and we haven't received them. We've asked for workshops, and we haven't sat in one yet. I think it's critical that we sit down with our financial advisor and understand what our capacity is, so that we can start continuing to plan for the future. And missing these opportunities is it's pretty disturbing to know that we could have saved some money. So I think every decision we make is very critical.
I'll set up a workshop, Commissioner. As far as on the Precinct 1, we did, we were able to utilize some of the buybacks to pay for some of the equipment for Precinct 1. However, that jeopardized some of the road projects. So right now, the need, I think, is more for the road projects, as we utilize some of the money that we had for road projects for equipment, so.
Piecemeal, I think we need to have a good meeting with the full court, so we have some
Well, along with the full court, I'd like to have those two firms come in and tell us,
But that's what I'm saying.
talk to us about the way they see our financial situation, especially on this pre-funding issue.
Judge, Commissioners, yes, I'll set up a workshop for that. I'll notify First Southwest today and as well as Estrella and Hinojosa to see what dates they would be available to come to court and make that, to be able to hold that workshop.
Why don't you talk to both of them?
Yes.
All right, then.
Better yet, just tell them that the court is going to meet next week.
For them to be here?
Yeah. and
We'll
just
do that.
Give them the date and see if they show up.
Yes, Commissioner. 17A doesn't require any action. It was just a status update.
Yes.
On 17B, we'll be requesting no action on that item. I placed that on prematurely. We'll bring that item back after we have a meeting with all the parties. Item 17C. Is a presentation and discussion regarding options and alternatives concerning the possible privatization of the solid waste collection in Hidalgo County. Judge, Commissioners, previously we had talked about privatizing the solid waste collections here in Hidalgo County. We had previously looked at a single exclusive franchise agreement, which would mean we would have one vendor county-wide for all rural residents. However, there were some concerns regarding that model, one of which was the displacement of the local haulers, the small mom and pops, and also the fact that the residents would have limited choice. We would actually be mandating what vendor residents would be able to contract with for the collection of their rural solid waste. We did come back with a modified sanitation concept, which was to have multiple districts. We had broken it down into 6 different districts based on geographic location. Again, there was still a concern regarding the small hauler, specifically because there was no guarantee that the small business would be able to compete with some of the larger franchises that we have out there. Choices, again, would then still be limited. Court requested that we have more dialogue with the haulers. We did have a public hearing on August 27th, and then that was followed up with a request for information where we met with 7 different haulers, vendors, individually. The 7 haulers we found out from the request for information, the 7 haulers currently service about 36% of the rural population, which means that roughly 64% of the rural households are either using our transfer stations or disposing of their trash in some other method. Of the haulers the vendors that we met with, all of them were receptive to the franchising, and also some of them requested that perhaps maybe they could also contract the collection stations. They could privatize those as well. Either they could open up their own collection stations, or they could basically lease our facilities and operate from there. That would allow the transfer stations to remain open. Regarding the advantage of the exclusive franchise, again, we would be, by having only one vendor countywide, we would have the identical rates for all residents. There'd be less traffic within the residential streets. It's only one vendor once a week going through their residents. There'd be fewer vendors to monitor, fewer agreements that we would have to review for compliance, and there'd be a consistent level of service throughout the county. Again, the disadvantages of having one vendor for the county would mean the displacement of all the small haulers if they were not able to compete. Would also not promote any type of competition, since there would only be one vendor. Residents would not have a choice as far as who would be their service provider. Basically, that franchisee would be approved by the court, not by the residents. And also, the implementation for that one vendor to operate countywide would also have some problems. As far as on the non-exclusive franchising, which would mean we would be able to have multiple vendors within multiple areas of the county, it does promote competition. It enables all vendors to stay in business and be able to provide services to the constituents. And allows the rural residents to choose their best option on their own. Again, some of the disadvantages regarding that non-exclusivity would mean that there would be more vehicular traffic. In essence, we could have 3 or 4 vendors providing service within the same neighborhood at different days of the week. We would also see rate fluctuations between the vendors. So basically, citizens within the same neighborhood, some might be paying more than the others. However, they would still have the option to choose and switch vendors. And we would also, one of the disadvantages being that we would have to monitor more contracts. There'd be more review and audit of these contracts as well. After reviewing all the information, we would be recommending that we do a non-exclusive franchise agreement. We would still be able to assess the 5% franchise fee for all haulers. And also, we would be able to implement this much faster, as the haulers right now would not have to go out and look for new contracts or look for new equipment. They would use the existing equipment, existing contracts. The only thing we would do that would be different would be the fact that we would be charging a franchise fee for these services.
Sergio, wouldn't another advantage of an exclusive franchise, one vendor, it would not be one more advantage that it would be easier to place our county employees with one company, as opposed to trying to figure out how many companies out of those 6 are going to be hiring and different salaries, different jobs, different everything?
Yes, Judge, that exactly. It would also be another advantage, since if it's only one company, basically they would have to increase their operations virtually overnight. So yes, they would be in need of more truck drivers, which would be able to allow the county to be able to transfer some of their employees, allow them to be hired by some of these companies. Yes, Judge.
Any questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Judge, as far as the transfer stations, one of the things that we're looking at is actually privatizing the transfer stations, either privatize the transfer stations with one of the haulers, or actually implementing a fee for service within the transfer stations. Basically, either it be by weight or by volume. Right now, we'd be looking at doing it by volume to where we'll be able to charge a fee. That is one of the things that when we met with these vendors, one of the things that they had mentioned was that because we do have these transfer stations open, it limits the business that they can attract. They feel if we were to be able to charge a fee to some of these collection stations, they'd be able to attract more business, make it more enticing for the residents to actually choose a private hauler as opposed to disposing on their own. Judge,
even though we're going to privatize it, there's still going to be trash all over the county.
There'd still be illegal dumping, yes.
We're going to have to keep some trucks out there picking up that trash.
Yeah, we don't foresee that the illegal dumping would go away. Again, right now we have the freeze transfer station, and there's still illegal dumping. So if we were to start to charge at the transfer station, we would believe that the illegal dumping would increase. So basically, on those franchise fees that we would be looking at, one of the recommendations that we would have would be to use those franchise fees to increase our code enforcement operation within the county to be able to curb that illegal dumping.
And what are your plans with our landfill, their property on Cook?
As far as on our landfill, once it would become operational, we would be able to modify our franchise agreement to where we would require the vendor to dispose of the trash at our landfill.
For a tipping fee?
Yes, basically, they would go and dispose there. We would set our tipping fees, and that's how we would go about charging that. So we would be able to implement the landfill operation, that project into this as well. Once it becomes operational, we'd be able to do that. And we'd also be able to use some of these franchise fees to be able to fast-track perhaps the development of our landfill. I know there's still costs that we would need to have to incur to open up our landfill, so that franchise revenue stream would also be able to be utilized for that, to fast-track that.
It's going to take several $1 million to put it into operation.
Yes. So we would use that as part of the financing when we go out for bonds for that. We would probably do some type of revenue bonds on our landfill and use that as a backstop, the franchise fee revenue. That would be, we would have multiple pledges of revenue for that. Judge, Commissioners, as far as on this, again, this was also just for presentation purposes. How would you like us to proceed as far as on the development of the RFP? Would you all like to see that as an exclusive contract or as a non-exclusive? Or would you rather have additional workshops regarding this, or?
How was that in the back? How many phases are you going to break it down to?
If we do the exclusive, we would be able to do it to 6 different districts. If we do a non-exclusive contract, then we would just do it countywide. That way the vendors would be able to operate countywide. We would still see the revenue from that, since we would be charging all of the vendors a franchise fee.
But then what's going to happen? All these mom and pop companies are going to be out of business?
Yeah, put them out of business. So.
The non-exclusive one, they would still remain in business. They would keep their own contracts. The only thing that would happen is that they would now have to pay a franchise fee to the county. Basically, they would keep their same customers that they have right now, the same contracts that they have right now. The only thing that would happen is that basically from that contract that they would have to pay 5% to the county for operating under the county.
Commissioner Cuellar, do you think it'd be better to have it like in 6 different phases? I think it's better.
I'm just kind of concerned if we privatize, I think we're going to get more illegal dumping, and I understand Cameron County still has a lot of problems with their, privatizing, and so.
But let's face it, Commissioner. The constables are the ones that, as the sheriff department, are the ones responsible, I think.
Yeah, but you got to understand.
Well, hang on. And we just need to make sure they understand what it means to the county, to the residents of this illegal dump.
And we've gotten some people. I mean, we give them their ticket, but it's up to our judges. A lot of those judges.
Well, the whole system, but we need to communicate to them that it's their responsibility along with us to ensure that we.
Last time we talked about it, in Cameron County, how many people are still not on the?
50%.
Yeah, I think it's still somewhere around 50%. 50% are still not utilizing the services.
It's not a real sale. I always thought if we go out and try and help these mom and pops, help them get more customers, I think it'll reduce our trash for our
as far as
sites.
One of the things that these small haulers didn't mention as far as the reason why they can't get more customers is because we have free sanitation stations, and that prevents them from increasing their business.
That goes to my suggestion. I guess the hybrid approach would be the fact that, we have close to 60,000 permit holders throughout the entire precinct. They're servicing 30-some% right now, so we're looking at just giving them data. I mean, we got listings of customers, and if we could look at a potential charge for service, whether they take it on or whether we charge it, I think that's going to promote the fact that they might just consider curbside service by some of these some of these people who collect it. I think that's the approach. It's hard to just go and franchise, and then now we eliminate the mom and pop operation, and you're still not going to get 100% participation. I think it's too aggressive of an approach. We started with collecting data. We got barcodes on ours. We know the frequency of when they come in. We can map them out as well, and they're already in those respective areas. It's just somehow I don't know how to do it where we would exclude. It's open record who our permit holders are, but the hope is to reduce tipping. I think that should be the first approach.
Well, I do want to remind the court about one very important component of this RFP RFP, however you decide. But if the point of the court is that you'd like to encourage and continue these small vendors, in business, once it becomes a franchise to the county, the liability issue has now forced us to include some insurance requirements that are extremely high for these small businesses. We're going to be potentially the ones at risk for liability. So you're now talking about insurance costs to them plus a 5% franchise fee. So, you need to look at the entire picture, and that's where I think what's going to happen once they come in, the response is they're not going to qualify. So you end up with the same thing again.
Are they going to have some kind of bond for those franchise taxes? A lot of times
You
they
have to.
Because if they don't, they can go for several months and then boom, they file bankruptcy and you're out of it.
And so that is going to require compliance on the part of these vendors. So you are imposing additional, yes, the potential is that they increase their revenue.
Correct.
We understand that, but they're going to be increasing their overheads. I just wanted to make sure you all remembered that.
How many employees do we presently have involved in sanitation? How many are going to be displaced if we go into this program? And how many do you think will be picked up by an exclusive franchise versus the 6 smaller franchises?
I believe that the last time I looked at the full amount of employees, I think there was somewhere around 80 employees that we had in our sanitation program countywide.
80?
Yes. And basically, one of the vendors had mentioned that they could possibly take roughly about 20 of the truck drivers. If it was going to be one exclusive franchise for one vendor countywide. However, if we do it into districts, I'm not sure how many of those would be picked up.
But then again, we're going to have to keep those collection stations open.
Yeah, it's not going to be
Because
over.
it's not going to work, because you're going to have all that trash all over the drain ditches and everything. Who's going to pick it up? Not the county?
Yes.
Another thing, we need to figure to keep at least our collection stations to pick up trash on the side of the roads and tires and stuff.
Again, as far as on basically the savings that we would have to the county would be in reducing the collection station overhead, which is roughly around $5 million, a little bit over $5 million that we have right now, including overhead and equipment. If we keep them open and do the franchise, there would be no cost reduction for the county. The only thing we would have is going to be the increase in the franchise fee. So we would not see that savings that we had looked at and first looked at. Why we started looking into this was to get out of the sanitation program and be able to reduce those sanitation costs and be able to transfer those costs into other programs. So we wouldn't have that if we were to keep all the collection stations open. If we were, I think right now we have roughly about 11 collection stations. If we were to only keep one per precinct open, perhaps we would see some savings there. But if we keep them all open, we would not see any cost reduction for the county.
I feel like we got 30-some% already that are, contracted out. If we can some way, somehow help them, advertise or, get people involved to hire one of those mom and pops and, pick it up to 50% or 60%. I think it'll, little by little, would help us, cut down on our.
Most of those vendors put their companies on hold in a sense of growing because of the fact that they didn't know what the county was going to do.
They're worried and
But I know some of the companies represented, they were about to make a major investment by taking on more clients and getting more trucks, but because they didn't know the path that the county was going to take, they were very reluctant to do that.
Correct. Those two reasons that they've mentioned as far as why they have not tried to increase their customer base was because of that. They didn't know whether the county was going to go into an exclusive franchise agreement where potentially they could go out of business and then lose all their investment. The other reason that they mentioned that also prohibits them is, again, the free collection station. One of the things that they did want was perhaps for the county to start charging a fee at the collection station. We can start with a nominal fee, $10 a month per ticket holder, per permit holder, or we can look at it as a volume based on the size of the
the load that they'll be disposing of, we can charge different rates, or by weight. The weight, we're not too much in favor of, they would have an initial investment as far as on scale. However, either by permit or by volume, if we charge a fee on either of those two methods, even if it's a nominal fee, I think the vendors feel that that would help them, as it now becomes an incentive for them. They still have to pay, might as well pay to get it picked up as opposed to having to throw it yourself.
I think that should be the
Is it within you all's power to make the fee for the independents, the fee that they charge their people, the same? So there isn't such kind of cutthroat competition? Just if, they have the same rules and the same amount of money that the people are expected to pay? Seems to me there should be some kind of a plan. But I don't know if y'all have the power to do that.
I don't believe we do, and I think on our RFP that we had drafted initially for the 6 districts, the rate was basically driven by the vendor. It was not set by the county.
Steve, do we have that authority?
You can't regulate the fee they charge their customer.
I believe the only thing we can regulate is going to be the franchise fee that we charge the vendor.
The franchise fee you can regulate,
It would have to be regulated by the state, right?
if it's covered by state law.
Do we have an idea how much insurance we're going to be requesting and the bond that we're going to be requesting? Can we also request in the RFP that they tell us how many employees they expect to pick up?
We would be able to put that on the RFP for them to list, and that could also be part of the rankings as far as the more employees that they pick up from the county, the more points that they would get. We could probably put that in the RFP. I'd probably have to visit with Mr. Crane on that, but I believe that's something that we could possibly do.
Any other questions?
Do you need guidance?
Yes, or we can continue having more workshops on this and see what, I know I've been visiting with the chiefs of staff from the precincts and from your office, Judge, regarding this. I know that this is a project that we all feel can actually save us.
I like the hybrid approach. I like the fact that a nominal fee so that people can get accustomed. Now, we do have free disposal, but it's not free to the public because they still have to expend in gas and time and
Correct.
all that. But if it's a nominal fee, then they're more prone to consider roadside service. And in this case, we're not advocating for one business. We're just saying this is a listing of all potential vendors that are out in this district collecting trash. And it will be up to the resident to pick one of them and see what's best for them. But I think it's a step closer to reducing our tipping fees. I think it starts, and I still wonder how we I know why we started this, but we're here spending $6 million on disposing household trash, and we're using public funds for that. So I think it's a step closer to the middle where we need to be. I think there'll be significant savings, but that's just my opinion. I do agree it's impossible for us to eliminate the collection stations, because we need to be able to receive trash, but if there's a fee or just a nominal fee for it, again, it's for the service of disposal. It's nothing that we're being unfair about.
Then Commissioner, what we'll do is we'll go back and try to develop that model with the nominal fee at the collection stations, and then also having non-exclusive, and see how it would affect the vendors as far as the insurance requirements that they would have. See if we can actually put that picking up of the county employees within the contract. I'll visit with Mr. Crane on that, and hopefully be able to bring that back next week.
Who would be responsible for the collection sites?
The collection sites, they would still be the responsibility of the precincts if we were to remain them open. We could also do it to where we have the vendors.
But that would have to be factored in order to determine if it's going to be cost effective for the county.
Correct. The vendors did mention during the RFI that they are willing to maintain these collection sites. They would be the ones charging the fee, and they would be the one maintaining staff. They did offer that. However, we felt that we were going to keep the collection sites open.
Yeah, but-
We would
but
rather
if-
do it as a
if
county
we're gonna be in charge of
operation.
the collection stations, what are we gonna do with the trash we pick up? Take it to them and they'll charge us?
If they were to operate the,
Collection stations.
we would end up having to dump that at either the City of Edinburgh site or,
But where are we gonna keep it? I mean, we can't fill a container at one time. We gotta pick it up in different places.
Well, that's
Tires and stuff.
I was saying, if we're gonna have that responsibility,
Might as
what are
well
we
keep it open.
saving? But what are we saving?
Because if we don't pick it up, nobody else will. Somebody's gotta pick it up.
You know, we did a survey, Sergio, last year to all permit holders, and each one filled out. I think there was over 58% said that they would consider roadside pickup. I guess a vendor has not reached out to them, or maybe they're in a more rural area, but there is a lot of interest, even with our own permit holders, to be able to pay for it now that gas prices increase and all that. But I think it's important to get public relations, no matter what we decide, to start communicating with all permit holders on the potential routes or whatever we're considering. But the pulse will be, and not everybody's going to like it. It's just like anything else. Everybody has an opinion to it, but there was considerable amount of interest in having roadside. We couldn't market for the companies. We were very reluctant to even suggest who does the business because we didn't want to violate anything at that point in time. So that's why we kind of urged more public meetings, more workshops, so that they can come and try to get the information they need to be able to go and pick up more customers.
okay, Judge Commissioners, we'll continue working on that and hopefully bring this back to the court within the week or two and see what other options we can develop.
You know, you've heard the concerns that have been voiced. Try to address them, and then maybe we can give you a consensus at whenever you do bring it back.
Okay, Judge, we'll do that. Item 17D is acceptance and approval on advanced funding agreement, amendment number 1 for State Highway 364 from State Highway 495 to FM 1924. This is the TxDOT project CSJ 2966-01009 with authority for the county judge to sign
For approval.
the AFA amendment.
As to
Judge.
1 and 2,
Judge, a couple of comments on their item. One, we don't see the evidence of the legal review.
This is a
For the
state
amendment?
contract. Legal does not usually review these state contracts.
Okay. The other issue is that the original agreement had a discrepancy, or one of the items said that the real estate was going to be conveyed in the name of the county. Another section within the same agreement said the real estate will be conveyed in the name of the state. It contradicts itself in the original agreement.
Oh, okay.
So I think it needs to be clarified, or
So the original agreement was not, we never modified that original agreement?
it was never modified.
Okay. Judge, if I can have it approved, subject to clarification from the state as far as
We
on,
need to fix this road because this is the one for the high school right on Sherry Road.
Move for approval was subject to
subject to
whatever
get the state to
officer-
clarify as to whose name the parcel should be acquired under.
I believe it's 5 Mile Line to 7 Mile Line for right now.
all right, so it's the motion is to approve, subject to
Approve,
what? sir?
subject to whatever the
To
auditor needs.
TxDOT clarification.
The clarification.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 17E is approval to undesignate the amount of $4,164,601.85 in year 2014 for expenditures related to the 1115 waiver program.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 17E2 would be the approval of the appropriation of funds in the amount of $4,164,601.85 to fund 1115 waiver program expenditures.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 17F1A and B is approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor and appropriation of those funds for the Precinct 4 Drainage Improvement Project, Program 36, in the amount of $62,838.30. These are labor reimbursements for January and February of 2013.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Next presented, item 18, purchasing.
Yes, Martha Salazar for the Purchasing Department. Item 18A1 is acceptance of the responses received as qualified for award for title company services pool, as it was put out in the RFP. And the two are Sierra Title and Valley Land Title.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 is requesting action to amend Agenda Item 42466, 1714 for vehicle maintenance and repair services for county-owned vehicles and equipment, heavy equipment, machinery, parts, and repairs for the vendors identified in the list attached here too. We've just added to that list, but now we've incorporated it all for you.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Now, on item 3, before we get started, I want to inform the court that I will be taking care of A, B, C, D, and F. Item E, I'm making a disclaimer that there will be a vendor on that a potential pool that is my firstborn. He is the owner of a business on an appraisal service provider. I have no interest in that business at all. I am not supported by that business, nor do I support that business. And I will have Mr. Guerra do that part of it. I have not done any of these RFQs either. So just so that the court would know that, I would want that for the record. Okay, going to item 3, where acceptance and approval of pre-qualified firms submitting statements of qualifications for establishment of pools as listed in the RFQ acceptance sheets attached here too, for engagement through the established and statutory local protocol on an as-needed basis. And these are A, architectural services. Let me just give you a quick rundown on how those are going to be named. Give me a second here. We have 28 packets requested, 9 we're proposing for submittal. That is less 7 from last year. We had 16 architectural services last year. Engineering services, 61 packets requested, 42 are on your list, a gain of 2 from last year. We had 40. Engineering services under geotechnical and construction materials testing, we had 13 packets requested, 7 are on your list. There is no net difference. You had 7 last year. Construction management services, you had 54 packets requested, 14 are on your list, and you have a net decrease of 2. You had 16 last year. I'll do F for now and skip E for Mr. Guerra. Surveyor services, you had 34 packets requested. You have 18, which you'll be accepting. You had a net decrease of 1. Mr. Guerra.
And Judge Commissioners, with respect to item F, surveyor services, RFQ number 2014-007-12-11, MEG, you had 26 packets that were sent out, and you have 5 firms responding for year 2014. There were 3 last year, so you have an increase of 2 for this year.
Marty, so how are you going to handle the potential conflict? Valdez going to be involved?
Well, there won't be any conflicts because remember, these are requested by the precincts themselves, the users. I never grade, I never score even any of the other pools. It's all driven by the user department.
But so you're going to abstain from the
I'm abstaining from carrying it into court.
Why don't, just to be safe, why don't we take a separate motion on A, B, C, D, and F?
Right.
And then a separate motion on E.
I'll make that motion.
Move for approval.
Sounds like a plan.
Second for 3A, B, C, D, and F.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Move for approval of 3D, E.
Second.
That's D as in David?
E.
E.
So E is the one that you
Right.
are going to abstain, Marty? Okay.
Correct.
I thought it was F.
All right, those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Going on to item B1, Precinct 1. This is requesting authority to purchase heavy machinery and/or equipment detailed from John Deere, the awarded vendor under the TASB Buy Board Contract 373-11, to include but not limited to the items on A, B, and the total amount is $167,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And to be exact, it's 167,110.80. Item C, Precinct 2, acceptance and approval to execute an on-call professional engineering services contract with Rabbi Kistner Consultants for construction materials testing for all projects for Precinct 2.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
For Precinct 3, we're pursuant to contract with LNG Engineering, Article 14, to contract number 333, a request to approval the engineer to permit the subcontract of ROW Surveying Services,
Move for approval.
LLC.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And to further clarify, this is for the Sherry Road FM 494 project. Item E1, Health and Human Services Department, presentation of the bid received is detailed in tabulation sheet contained herein, meeting all specifications and/or requirements for the purpose of award and approval of a contract for, this is turnkey burial services, including cemetery plots for unidentified pauper remains, and that is Valverde Cemetery. And that's at $1,600 each.
Move for approval.
I'm sorry, what,
This was done on seal
E1.
quotes, I'm sorry, only because we do not expend near $50,000 per year.
What's the name of the vendor, Marty?
Pardon me?
What's the name of the vendor? Is there a vendor name on that?
It's All Valley, it's a DBA, but it's Valverde's Cemetery on Valverde
Marty,
Road.
this is for burial?
Of pauper remains,
Pauper remains. I got
yes. Unidentified remains,
How much is it going to cost?
$1,600. It's a turnkey.
Used to be 800, didn't it?
A long time
No.
ago, Judge. Yeah. Yeah. Remember, this became an expense to the county when we were no longer able to have the option to cremate unidentified remains. There was
All
an
right.
AG opinion that led to this expense, which we weren't used to incurring.
how many submitted a proposal?
Quotes, I don't know, Commissioner, but I can send you that information. Okay? They were done, we sent them to several vendors.
Is this the same
They're
vendor
usually, this is
that
the
we had
same
last
vendor
year?
that we currently have.
Last year.
They really, a lot of your funeral homes do not want to take on this expense.
Yes, all right.
As I know, this is for our unidentified John Does.
At this time, you need a motion
I believe you just approved it.
to approve this, all right?
Move for approval.
Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
On item F1, just so that Mr. Ofracio knows, that exhibit has been emailed, plus hard copies were handed to everyone concerned this morning. This is acceptance and approval of the amended contract approved by Commissioners Court December 20th of 2013 with Norma Jean Farley, MD, forensic pathologist, for the provision of autopsy and related services. This is negotiated and drafted by the District Attorney's Office.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
This presentation, acceptance of the scoring grid in connection with the sole response received for the purposes of ranking as qualified to proceed to the next phase of the proposal process, credit card payment services. That's with Easy Access. That's our current vendor. We did have a lot of interest. However, we do need a lot of local support, and therefore I think that diminished any vendor that wants to do everything off-site. So this is the qualifying of Easy Access Incorporated.
Current vendor, Marie Mozo?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I need action.
Any questions?
Move for approval of A and,
Need a second?
A separate.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And B is acceptance and approval of the final negotiated services agreement with the awarded vendor and qualified in the item preceding this, Easy Access Incorporated, for credit card payment services for Hidalgo County.
move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. This time, I would call under open forum Mr. Robert Jeffrey. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I'm here because of the bus, the Valley Metro. So they don't want to take us to Precinct 3, Melo Ochoa's office. They want to leave us on the side of the road to walk to his office. We have a leaking problem in the mobile home. So we went to City Hall and they sent us over there. And since the Valley Metro went over there, but now they changed it and they keep changing the rules. So we don't even know when they're going to take us over there or what. And this lady in the telephone, it's antagonizing us. She's baiting us to say words to her or threats. But we do not do that because we're Catholics. She's the one who's doing the threats to us. She says, Rosie Cuevas cannot tell me what to do because I'm in charge today. She's not here, you have to deal with me. So later on today, I'm going to call to take me over there to get a photo ID so I can vote. They're keeping me from doing that.
Yes, sir.
So, and that's all I have to say.
I'm not familiar with what you're pointing out, but what I'd like for you to do, if you don't mind, talk to that gentleman right there, Mr. Rick Alvarez, and we'll follow up on your concern.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next presenter is Frank Travers.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Good morning, sir.
I try to always remember to say thank you for allowing us and me to speak to you, and I sincerely mean that. I know we have time to communicate to you at your discretion. When I saw the agenda this week, and I saw the open forum down at the tail end of it again, I was reminded of a phrase that Ronald Reagan made famous when he had to deal with issues multiple times. There you go again. Now, we went through this changing the public agenda down to the end of the agenda quite a few weeks or months. And I think you don't quite agree with the emphasis that we, the Owls, and some of the public put on the traditional position as where it is. It perhaps makes it look to the public, and I've spoken on this before, like you're trying to shut the public out. And I know for 1 minute, not a single one of you would ever want to do that. You want the public input and even a better feel for what the consensus of public opinion is. Now, I know there's an explanation made that this was a temporary thing and would not reoccur, that there may be a situation, but if there has been any misuse or abuse of this privilege, surely there's some way of handling it other than moving it to the end of the agenda. Frankly, I saw no connection at all, how if there's a problem, it'll be any easier to deal with by this particular move. In the long run, I don't think there's any differences between us at all, except perhaps we feel more of the emphasis and importance of being at the traditional start of the agenda. And I would hope that perhaps you could give that a little more of a significance and treat it kind of like hallowed ground that's not to be toyed with unless, if there are time problems, there's ways to deal with it. So I just hope that I'm not overemphasizing that. And thank you again for letting me speak to you.
Thank you, sir. Next presenter, Opal Billman.
Good morning. My name is Opal Billman. In a divorce process, the court has no authority to appoint a manager for the community property and income of Joe and me and keep both. Almost 10 years ago, when Joe died, he owned property. He still does. Joe's community property is still his. Joe's property is the estate of Joe Billman. Laws exist that govern Joe's estate, and the estate can exist for many years. My father's estate existed for 50 years. The law passes Joe's estate to his 3 adult children. That has not occurred yet. When Joe died, the law states Joe's petition for divorce must be dismissed. That has not occurred either. No law exists that gives the judge authority to hold community property indefinitely as though it had been abandoned. There are numerous laws that prevent him from doing so. We have not abandoned our community property. Because the judge refuses to close the case, it is the responsibility of the court to protect the ownership of the community property until it is returned to the rightful owners and the case is closed. Because the court allowed trespassers on our land, it is the responsibility of the court to remove them. For the judge to refuse to release our property back to us and free me from years of false imprisonment defies the law. Thank you.
Next presenter is Fern McClarity.
I want to move quickly so that I don't lose my time. I just saw today that you have a change order, just one, for $71,055. How much have we paid so far? How many other change orders? I really hate to see that. That's just extra money that's been thrown into the woodpile there. And also you were talking, and we had questions about the trash. Competition keeps the prices down for the customers, what they have to pay. If they don't like the company's service, they don't like the price, they keep going up on them, what do? They make calls to other companies and ask what they charge for the same containers. I used to live in the county part and had a company, went up on me. I make a phone call and I find another company that services and has it for a cheaper price. You have one company, it's just like car dealers. You can't get a discount if they're all the same company. And like I said, we were going to ask about the open forum and what we had done this time. I didn't think that we had done anything. We were given an explanation, but I noticed that we have security for this meeting. And I don't know why you did not feel comfortable enough to either call one of them to come up here and stand or to stand over there to protect you or whatever. But that's what they're back there for. And if that was the reason that we moved it, the taxpayers are paying for security. So let's use it. Thank you.
Next presenter is Ivan Ramon.
Once again, good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Just to let the court know that I am here. We are here as the Elections Department as we move forward in the decisions that need to be made. We are in a good spot with the early voting sites. So if you would request that I put it on the agenda for next week, just know that we are in a good position. Whatever the court decides, we are here to work together, as I know that the court and the county as a whole is here to work with the community and for the community. And I just wanted to let you know that whatever you need me to do, we are here to work with you and for the community.
Please call me this afternoon so we can discuss possibly an elections commission.
Yes, sir.
Board meeting.
Yes, sir.
Virginia, I know she left, but she was Virginia Townsend. All right, next presenter is Albert Morales. I believe the gentleman also left. All right, this time pursuant to 551-071 and 072, would entertain a motion to proceed to executive session.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, it's 12:27. We're back in open session. Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. I'm going to ask Jesse, we're going to go back on the regular agenda under Precinct 4.
Yes, good afternoon, Judge and Commissioners. Item 16B, right-of-way approval of land acquisition for Kurt and Jennifer Morgan, which is parcel 3 of the Alberta Drain. I need a approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Also, item 16C, the same action right away. Approval and land acquisition from Jose and Abel Salazar, parcel 1 of the Alberta Dream Project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Is all the detail is attached, but as far as the
Yes, you'll get all
parcel-
the, yes, you'll
Yes,
get
sir.
all the proper paperwork,
Thank you.
appropriate paperwork. Judge Commissioners, then again, going back to open session, item 21A, real estate acquisition appropriation, same. There's no action at this time. 21B, pending and or potential litigation. Cause number, under potential litigation, cause number 713CV00602, Johnny Earl Course versus Guadalupe Lupe Trevino et al. Judge Commissioners, I'm going to ask that we refer back to item 6A1 and 2. Item 6A1, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Section 2620224A4, professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation.
So move.
Need a second? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 6A2, I'm requesting the engagement with the firm of Preston Hendrickson for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit a letter of engagement, specifically Johnny Earl Course versus Guadalupe Lupe Trevino et al.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 21D, C010814B, Sheila Pruitt Orr versus City of Hidalgo and Hidalgo County. Judge Commissioners, I want to refer back to item 6A1 and 2. 6A1, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 2620224A4, professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 6A2, requesting engagement with the firm of Atlas Holland Rodriguez for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit letter of engagement, specifically Sheila Pruitt Orr versus City of Hidalgo and Hidalgo County. Judge, Commissioners, for the record, our engagement letter, if action is taken, would only address representation of Hidalgo County and not City of Hidalgo, just Hidalgo County.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge Commissioners, item 21E, claim of Miguel A. Castillo. Judge Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $150.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 21F, claim of Rose Cisnero. Judge Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make a offer of $274.63 in settlement of this claim. If the claim is accepted, it would be split up at $174.63 for property damage and then $100 for BI.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in
Yeah.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item G, 21G, claim of Hidalgo County versus Jose Eli Guerra. Judge Commissioners, for the record, I'd like to disclose that we're going to ask Ms. Josie Ramirez's office at the DA's, from the DA, to subrogate against Mr. Jose Eli Guerra in an accident involving one of our vehicles.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
There's no further need to go back into closed
Need a
or open
motion to
session.
adjourn?
Well, there was no action on
Second.
21A and B?
Those in favor?
Yes, no action.
Oh, thank you.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.
Aye.